So in our facilities, we offer a continuum of memory care. Three of our programs include Memory Lane Fitness for the Mind, Elevate, Enhancing Capabilities, Maintaining Independence, and our Sensibilities program. All three of these programs rely on getting an accurate Allen cognitive assessment as the foundation of the program. So before we get into looking at the Allen Cognitive, we're going to talk briefly about each one of our three programs and the features and benefits of each, starting with our Elevate program. So, is one of our newer of the three memory care programs, and it's designed as a combination marketing program and discharge planning program. And the goal with Elevate is to provide our residents and their family members with a set of material that's designed to give them tips and hints and information that's going to help them maintain a safe transition to a lower level of care. And all of that information is based off of that resident's Allen cognitive level. And the material that we provide focuses on discharge planning, customer support, customer satisfaction, helping our residents to maintain the highest level of functioning while aging in place. And personalized information based off of the Allen cognitive level that the resident is discharged with is provided to each person related to personal care, medication management, home and financial security, fire prevention, community involvement, nutritional management, homemaking and housekeeping, and fallen injury prevention. So, this is the first level in our continuum of memory care. Residents that should be considered as part of our Elevate program include any resident who is in our Bounce Back program that has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease or other dementia, mild cognitive impairment, altered mental status, cognitive communication deficits, or the resident doesn't have any active diagnosis but demonstrates some level of cognitive impairment. And the way that we identify that is through completion of the Allen cognitive level. So you in the therapy department are the first person that is looking to see whether or not that resident would benefit from this as a service that we provide to them to ensure post-discharge safety. So the Allen cognitive level should be completed for every bounce back resident and should become standard for um, a standard part of our discharge planning process. Along with that, we would be completing a home evaluation on all of our residents before they go home to make sure that we can get our eyes on the environment that they're living in and provide some additional material and additional information to the resident and their family on how to set that home up in a safe manner to help them be more successful in their environment. It's important to make sure that a support person, such as a family member, caretaker, friend, or someone else, is there at the time of the home evaluation. Because as we've identified that that resident has some cognitive impairment, we want to make sure that somebody is there to take down notes and take all the information that you're providing them during the home evaluation and can make sure that that home is set up in a safe way for the resident before they go home. Consideration for home adjustments should be made kind of along the lines of all of the handouts that we will be providing them, which we're going to take a look at briefly here in a minute. And when you're finished with the home evaluation, the summary that you write up in as part of your record should then be given to our social services director who can take those recommendations and write a nice little summary that they'll put on a discharge planning handout that they provide the resident when they go home. So even though you're there with a family member and you're providing them with tips and tricks and recommendations for home adjustments, we want to make sure that we have another set of material to send home with the resident and their family so that they know in concrete written format what our recommendations are to help them maintain safety in a home environment. So the next level of our continuum of memory care is our Memory Lane Fitness for the Mind program, and this is the oldest of our three programs. We've been running our Fitness for the Mind programming in Memory Lane for about 5 years now, and we've seen some really great results with what we can do with the Allen cognitive level and helping that resident to maximize their potential through exercising their brain, enhancing their memory, and helping them to maintain independence. There's a lot of features that we offer that have a lot of benefits for our residents within the memory lane program. Some of them include, using the Allen cognitive level for all levels of interaction with the resident, from activity programming to basic care, toileting needs, restorative programming, fall management. Anything that we do with the resident is based off of their specific level of memory impairment. There are two foundational programs involved in our Memory Lane program, and those include Mindful Moments programming, which are the activities that we offer to the resident based off of the Allen cognitive level that are designed to stimulate the resident's mind and to help them exercise their brain. And the second one is our Memory and Motion programming, which are restorative programs that focus on the cognitive deficit related to being able to maintain physical independence. So, whereas most nursing restorative programs focus on a physical deficit, our mindful or our memory and motion restorative programs focus on the cognitive deficit related to the ADL task. And then we offer an environment that is designed to address the visual spatial changes that happen as dementia progresses, including black toilet seats, red dishes in the dining room, contrasting walls in the bathroom, and a number of other things that we offer on an individualized basis per campus setting. So on memory lane, as we mentioned before, we focus on exercising the resident's brain, enhancing memory, and helping the resident to maintain as much independence as possible. And we do that through personalized enrichment and activity program, communication techniques, care and treatment, including fall management, pain management, toileting and continence management, and self-care and behavior management, all specifically based off of their individualized cognitive level. The last in our continuum of memory care includes our sensibilities program. This is another one of our newer programs, and this is basically designed to pick up where memory lane leaves off. And it focuses on the latter stages of the disease process. So residents in the late to end stages of dementia are those that are targeted for our sensibilities program. And this is designed to help that resident's brain remain as active as possible, even in those later stages. It's designed to prevent the resident from withdrawing into themselves and to help alleviate some anxiety and behavioral symptoms that are commonly present for residents in the latter stages of the disease process. One of the things that you'll find as you start looking at the new app that Lindsay's going to go over with you in just a little bit here is that it is much simpler to get an Allen cognitive level for those residents in the 1 and 2 ranges, which is what we target with our sensibilities program, with some of the new tools that you're going to be provided with. And even though it is not always feasible to get an Allen cognitive level because some of these residents are to the point where they've chosen to be placed on hospice, having an accurate ACL is really still crucial for the programming that we can provide through our sensibilities program. So sensibilities has two equal but separate parts, both of which focus on the specific guidance with sensory stimulation programs and helping the resident maintain any remaining abilities that they still have. So the two parts include group sensory program and one-to-one sensory protocols. Again, this program is geared towards those in the latter stages of the disease process, so residents with an Allen cognitive level of 2 or 1. Our group sensory programming is for both level 2 and level 1. ACL, with our one-to-one sensory protocols being specifically for those residents who are in or who have an Allen cognitive level of 1, but they can also be provided to residents with a little bit higher Allen cognitive level as well, but definitely those residents in the 1 range. So we focus our group programming based off of different senses. There should be a variety of different programs that are offered for the residents throughout the course of the day. On average, we do 2 sensory programs with group programming for our residents each day, and then our sensory protocols, which are the one-to-one programs, are offered to the residents 3 to 5 times a day, and they're in much shorter increments. So with this program, we're really focusing on providing ongoing stimulation throughout the course of the entire day, whether it's through a group setting or through an individualized one-on-one setting, to make sure that we can enhance that resident's experiences and provide them with something that's going to prevent them from being deprived of interpreting the information in their environment. So all of the sensory sensibilities programs, whether they're group sensibilities programming or the one-on-one protocols, are geared towards the resident's cognitive level. This is a handout that our activity directors have access to, and this is all material that you can find specifically within the Allen Cognitive app that Lindsay's going to show you in a little bit here. But there's very detailed sensory input things that need to be provided to the resident based off of their level in order to get a reaction from that person. Depending on what their Allen cognitive level is going to depend on the different type of stimulus that we provide to the resident and whether or not they have the capability to react to that stimulus. So our staff utilizes this handout to determine which stimulus options that they're going to include as part of the protocols that we provide to that resident.
Let's take a look and we'll talk a little bit about Allen cognitive levels, not specifically the characteristics in each level. However, we will talk about Allen cognitive level assessments. So we're using the ACL as a staging tool for the level of cognitive impairment. It's not language-based like other cognitive testing tools. So we're going to use that to our advantage to get the most accurate ACL for each of our residents. It's typically administered by a trained professional, whether it be speech therapy or occupational therapy. In some cases, it could even be physical therapy in your gym, just depending. We'll provide recommendations for care and treatment. And it's really, as Jenny said, the foundation of all three levels of memory care programming on our campuses. So when are we going to get an Allen cognitive level assessment? Every time a resident is in therapy. We're going to do it before and after a move on or off memory lane, when a resident is in the facility for bounce back, when a long-term resident is picked up for Part B or Manage B services. We also want to update the Allen Cognitive on an annual basis or anytime there's a significant change with that resident. Historically, our primary tools for the ACL were the leather lacing, which is now called stitching. We use the placemat, and then also we use the RTI, the routine task inventory. Moving forward, the placemat test is going to be discontinued. So we ask that you no longer use this with our residents as a screening tool. We ask that you only use the RTI with residents who have a severe visual impairment or residents with physical limitations preventing completion of the Allen cognitive activities. Or in certain cases, we might use the RTI for an expedited score to get an estimate of an ACL. Say, for example, a resident who's returning as part of the Elevate program, and perhaps their insurance is limiting the number of visits. We would want that expedited version of an ACL. We still want to get the most accurate score that we can, but we're going to have to probably revert to using the RTI. So let's start talking now about a newer version. It's the ACLS 6, and we're excited that you at each of your facilities have the ability to use this. There's new methods available to determine the Allen Cognitive Score through this app. Each facility has their own tablet to which the app can be used. We're going to walk through detailed steps in just a minute of the different activities that are included in the ACLS 6 and available to you on the app. So each site now has an ACL binder created by Jenny, has all of the activities inside and lots of resources. You also have been provided with a tablet, and you have an Allen app that comes with an annual subscription. So Jenny, I'm going to let you talk about the ACL binder and some of its contents.
So in your Allen Cognitive Binder, you should find a lot of material that's going to be beneficial to you in being able to complete these assessments. The first thing that you'll see in the binder includes this Allen Cognitive Level Assessment chart. And as Lindsay's going to talk a little bit more in detail when we take a look at a resident sample, this is going to be one of the guided forms that you're going to use to determine which type of assessment or activity that you're going to do with the resident. So when you look at this, you can see our color-coded system listed with the different levels. So we've got blue as a 1, 2 as a red, 3 as a yellow, 4 is green, and 5 is purple. And when you look at a resident, we want you to kind of make a judgment call on what you think the resident is probably going to end up, what range you think they're going to end up when you do that. And then you'll select one of the activities in the grayed out areas to start with for the assessment. There's also in your binder some tips for assessing the resident and some different material that's going to help you have more successful interactions and um, more successful interactions and engagement with the resident during the process. In the zippers, that you'll find the materials that you need to complete each one of these tasks, both a felt version and a laminated version that are available for use. Obviously, the felt's going to be easier to use in most cases, but in some cases, you may find that you need to do an Allen Cognitive Level assessment on a resident who's in isolation, and that's why you've also been provided a laminated version of each test so that you can still get the score for the resident in the event that they're on isolation, and that material can be easily sanitized. So when you take a look at this piece of paper, this goes through our color-coded system again, and it also talks about basically some quick observation characteristics. So this little table can help you, along with that one that we were just looking at, identify which level you're guessing the resident is probably going to fall in. And you may find when you're looking at this that, oh, we're looking at this resident, they're probably either a 3 or a 4. And you'll be able to identify that through looking at that quick observation characteristics and then move forward with more detail and get a more accurate score once you do the little activities that are included in the binder. So also along with it, can you go back for just a sec, Lindsay?
Right.
Also on this table here, you'll see the target programs that go along with each of our Ellen cognitive levels. So you can see Elevate basically is designed to target residents with an ACL of 4 or 5, while Memory Lane goes from 4.3 to 2. And then you'll see that the sensibilities program also overlaps with the 2. Generally, residents in the lower level of the 2 score and our residents at 1.
Here are some samples of the new activities that we'll be using. Each of them can be found in your binder. So where to start? Let's take a look at a patient and do some observation. So we'll just watch a quick video together and then talk through, as if it were one of our residents in our gym, where we would start and how we would use the app.
Okay. There it is. There's my house. There's my house. And in the summer, we'd take all the windows out and have an open porch and put screens in.
Yeah.
And there would be a screened-in porch. And we'd sleep out there. Oh, my heavens. Oh, my.
You want to go ahead and stand up,
I
Dorothy?
wonder if they take the windows out now.
Well, it looks like they have some window air
They look permanent,
conditioners.
don't they? Yeah, they look permanent now.
So that's it there?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
let's
it.
let's slide over a little bit.
Oh my. Look at that.
That was the porch that you slept on?
That was the porch we slept on, but we didn't have windows in it then. It was just open. And there's
Do you remember who lived there?
I remember them, but I forget their name. Began with an S. Oh my. It looks the same. The people there always had the garden there. Look at this. Oh, my goodness.
You want to try it again there, Dorothy? There you go. Good. Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Well, that
Not
wasn't too bad
bad.
after all
Nope.
these years.
Pretty impressive.
Huh?
I said that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
See what else we can
Okay.
find on here.
excellent. Yeah, I'm ready to sit.
Are ya? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take a seat there, Dorothy.
My legs are getting stiff.
Yeah. Well, you've done.
Okay, so that's a little sample of Dorothy. She does remember, the house. That's a good thing. Unable to recall the specific names of the neighbors. They also share a little clip of maybe recall activity that she's possibly doing, but she does get a 6 out of 10. She is able to follow instruction. She follows the visual cues that are given to her by the therapist. Overall, I'm going to say that perhaps, she's possibly a high 3, maybe a low 4, based on that little tiny observation period that we have. Of course, you'd be more familiar likely with the resident that's coming in for an Allen cognitive assessment. Of course, we have another reference tool that's in the binder to help you guide through a quick observation. But now, since we've kind of determined that Dorothy's likely in this range of high 3, low 4, let's take a look. Maybe we could start with the Clover assessment. Okay, as Jenny mentioned, these are the grayed out blocks. This activity is going to cover everywhere from a high 3 all the way up to a low 5. So it might be a good starting point for us. Okay. So we're going to head over to the Allen app. Kind of walk through this a little bit with you. So what you're seeing on the screen is you initially will log into the ACDM web. And once you're in, you're going to click on the Allen app icon at the top. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. Click on English. And we're in the app. There's some overviews, explains a little bit about Claudia Allen and how she really got on her journey as an occupational therapist to develop the Allen cognitive levels. Give you an overview of the levels. Color coding is just a little bit different than the color coding that we use. Then if you click on ACLS 6, this is where you'll find all of the activities. As you can see, we have ACL 1 to 2 and ACL 1.8 to 2.8 in the sensing and moving activities. That's really going to help you to better determine those lower level ACLs that we really just did not have. We just didn't have access to be able to really get an accurate lower level ACL score for these residents. So there's some activities in here that you could use that are quite helpful. But for our example today with Dorothy, as we said, let's go ahead and we'll start with the Clover based on the charting that's in your ACL binder that we just referenced a couple slides ago. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Clover. You can reach in your ACL binder. As Jenny mentioned, all the materials that you need are in there, both on felt and laminated. The app will list out the activities that are required. It'll give you the testing instructions. So you're going to sit Dorothy at a table or place a tray on her lap so that she can work from it. Place the blank card on their working space. Place the pieces next to the blank card with color side face up. Hold in the same position or hold up the sample in a position where you can see when their pupils focus on the sample and pay attention to the number of times they glance at the sample. You're not necessarily going to need the number of times that they glance at the sample to get your end score. However, it's good to take a note. We want to always be observing our residents as they're completing the activity. And then now that you're all set up, you're going to begin the activity. Each activity gives you the exact instructions that you need to start. So you're going to introduce the activity by saying, this activity is a picture design. Can you copy this picture by using the pieces provided? Of course, if the resident ignores you, pass them a piece and tap on the blank card to get their attention. The activity ends when the person has finished the design, shows signs of fatigue, or just stops. Again, observe the number of times that they glance at the sample. Okay. So let's say, for example, you're going to read through each of these, which are going to help you to categorize where Dorothy's going to fall. In this instance, let's say the pieces are placed to form a picture. May not be the sample picture, with the yellow rhomboid shape not tucked under the blue corner pieces. Okay, so let's say that that's the description that best suits the clover design that Dorothy demonstrated for you. Okay, it looks kind of like this is what Dorothy did. Okay, so her tentative score is going to be an ACL 4 low. Okay, you can either go back if maybe this is not what it looked like. Maybe you want to go back and you want to pick a different score. But for now, we're going to say the ACL is a 4 low. So let's move on. Say it's a different day, another treatment session. We're going to select another activity for further evaluation. Keeping in mind, we're thinking that Dorothy's now a 4 low. So let's click on more. This one, based on the chart from our ACL binder, let's go and do a flower pot. Flower pot goes from level 3.6 to 4.4. So that would probably be a good place for us to go try next. Again, materials required. We'll list everything that you need. Again, in your binder. Testing instructions, same as the last, coincidentally. And then we're going to begin the activity. Say, this activity is a picture design. Can you copy this picture by using the pieces provided? The activity ends when Dorothy's finished the pattern or shows signs of fatigue. Again, you want to observe the number of times they refer back and forth to the sample. Oops. You can click on next. So now this time, Dorothy has placed red heart petals. They're placed disorganized fashion above the pot. No, that she probably did a little bit better than that. Let's try this one. Places the red hearts in correct alignment. The yellow hearts may be placed on top of the red hearts, but not aligned accurately. Okay, that's a pretty good description of what Dorothy probably presented to us. Let's take a look and see if Dorothy's flower pot looks like this one. And turns out for our example, it does. So right now we're going to go with the tentative score is an ACL of 4.2. Okay, you can view what an ACL 4.2 is, or you can view a 4 low. So let's just click on 4.2. Breaks down the 4.2 scoring for you. Best ability to function, gives you some good resources here. So overall, the app is quite user-friendly. Okay, again, ACLS 6, all of your activities are listed in here. Lots of instructions within the app. Now that we have determined that Dorothy is a 4.2, we want you to use the ACLS 6 recording sheet. You'll put Dorothy's name on the top and her final ACL score. As we have always asked, we ask that you are using a number of treatment sessions to get the most accurate ACL. Okay. We want you to provide a little picture of the activity that was completed, the date it was completed, and the score. On our second day of treatment, we came back and we did the flower pot, took a picture, and we put in her score. You can keep this just for your reference within the therapy gym. We further ask that you complete a memory care programming recommendation sheet. Again, you're going to put the resident's name on the top, the date, their final ACL score, and the date of the ACL completion. So because Dorothy is a 4.2, it doesn't mean that Dorothy's going to be able to or can or will do everything that's listed on our green memory care programming recommendation. But she should be able to, based on our observation. She can answer open-ended questions. She can choose between 3 or more objects, so we check those. But as I go down through, utilizing objects and supplies 3 to 4 at a time, yeah, Dorothy can do that, but you know what? Maybe she can't do 4 to 5, so we wouldn't check that box. Arranges objects in sequence to describe a familiar activity. Sure, she can do that. Identifies errors in pattern. Maybe. She can match opposites. Sure, let's check that. But as you continue your treatment sessions, you'll be able to dial in and really give specifics for the memory care programming to give to your memory care director. So again, the expectation that we're completing Form NH433. We're going to give that to memory or to medical records once complete so that they can upload it into Matrix. Jenny, I'm going to have you speak a little bit to the discharge planning communication form for Elevate.
So this form is also something that is designed to help make the Elevate program a little bit easier for our staff. So this is a form that we generally use during our comprehensive Medicare meetings. Social Services is the one that fills this out. You've probably seen this before because this is where they're writing a lot of the recommendations that you guys are making for durable medical equipment or therapy needs or home health needs when that resident goes home. With the Elevate program, we're also adding in whether or not they need to be in that program or that's something that we're recommending for the resident. So once we've identified that, yes, they are in the Elevate program, we have a secondary form that our social services directors will use, which looks like the form on this next slide. And it is copied on purple paper. And it basically is going through a checklist of the different things that we want to make sure that based on the Allen cognitive level that you guys have obtained for that resident that we're sending the family home with. So you can see there's some boxes there on this form that remind the social services director the specific things that we would want to make sure that we're handing out to the resident when they go home. And then we would utilize this form as kind of an ongoing tracking tool once the resident is discharged from us, because above and beyond being able to provide them with some discharge planning material that's going to help them be a little bit more independent and it's going to help them maintain success at home. We don't want to stop there with our residents that we've identified as part of our Elevate program, because what we'll do then is when they are at home, social services will start following up with that resident at 3 months if they are going home with an ACL of 4 in the 4 range or below. And if they're going home with an ACL in the 5 range, we'll start following up with that resident around the 6-month time frame. And just finding out from the family and from the resident how they're doing. Are they finding that the material that we sent home with them was helpful? Are they maybe struggling with some new areas? And we're going to offer to give them an update of their Allen cognitive levels. So if there are any changes with where they're at cognitively, we can provide them with additional material that's going to help them maintain the ability to stay home a little bit longer. And it's going to give us an opportunity to also, spend a little bit of time with that resident, that family member, help them to develop a rapport with us and our team. And if they get to the point where at some point in time they're not as successful in a home setting as they once were, then hopefully they will choose to maybe admit to either Hawthorne Inn or the Estates if they're high functioning enough, or even to Memory Lane Fitness for the Mind so that we can continue with their cognitive programming on an in-house basis. And we're able to help that family a lot more through this process by having this ongoing engagement with them, not only during the time that they're with us at Bounce Back, but through this ongoing follow-up that we provide to the resident. So this form will help us with the starting point to that with the Elevate program, and should be used during our comprehensive Medicare meeting um, that we hold weekly. This form here is one of the discharge planning forms that social services will use. And if you remember when we were talking about home evaluations earlier, and how social services will summarize your recommendations from a therapy perspective, this is the form that they use to do that on. And they will also include other recommendations, if we're setting up home health services or outpatient therapy, or if we're arranging for them to have any medical equipment like a walker or a wheelchair, or CPAP, BiPAP, oxygen, anything that we're setting up for the resident. We're going to include on this form with contact numbers so that they can have somebody to reach out to if they have any issues with the stuff that we set up for them. And obviously, then again, our recommendations for home adjustments. We should start presenting all of this information to the resident and their family during the care plan meeting. The Elevate care plan meeting is not an additional care plan meeting. It's just something that we incorporate into the normal care plan that we have with our bounce back residents. If we are identifying that Elevate is an appropriate program for them, the one difference with this care plan is that we're going to invite the director of memory care to that meeting. That way, the resident can meet them, the family can meet them, they can start to develop a rapport with that director of memory care. And then we can also invite them to be part of our memory care support group, because as we know, they're going home. They may find that it's not quite as easy as they were originally hoping for, and having that support and that system available for them is going to be really helpful for them on a long-term basis in a home setting. We will also, during that care plan meeting, begin presenting what the Elevate program is all about. So we'll be providing them with the handouts that we discussed earlier that are specific to their Allen cognitive level. So you can see here some samples of what those handouts look like. And they all look the same, whether they're a high 5, low 5, or a high 4, which are the 3 different sets of handouts that we provide, with the exception of the material and the actual tips and guidance is different, and it's specific to the resident's needs at their specific Allen cognitive level. So individuals who are scoring lower than a high 4, we are going to provide them with some basic information, basically the first 4 things that are included on all of these lists. But we don't have specific material to help them maintain independence, because once they're below a high 4, our obvious recommendation for the safety and the best programming that we can offer to them is to consider moving on to our Memory Lane Fitness for the Mind program, where we can continue with exercising that resident's brain and helping them to maintain as much independence as possible. But for those residents who are a high 4, a low 5, or a high 5, we have all of this material that we send home with them. So you can see there's a little bit more information for your residents at a low 5 and a high 4. But with all 3 levels, we're going to provide the first 4, which goes to everybody regardless of their level, and then personalized information on personal care, medication management, home and financial security, fire prevention, and community involvement for everyone within these 3 levels. And then if the resident's a low 5 or a high 4, we also have specific information on nutritional management, homemaking and housekeeping, and fall and injury prevention. We also would be providing them with these public explanation cards. These are designed to help family members when they're taking their loved one out, or somebody who's got very early stage memory impairment and maybe a little bit embarrassed and wanting to ask maybe a server at a restaurant or a doctor that's not their primary, like maybe a dermatologist or a podiatrist or somebody that they would go to outside of their primary care, to just to let them know that, hey, they've got some problems with their memory, or their mom or dad has got some problems with their memory, and giving them a little bit of extra time and support throughout whatever interaction they have is what we're requesting. On this card, it looks like a credit card. It's a little square piece of plastic, just like a debit or a credit card. We can order these from the main office on our marketing material order form, and it is something that we want to send our residents home with when they're part of Elevate. It's also something we provide, routinely during our support group meetings to help our residents and our families. And then again, we talked about the follow-up. We will start contacting the resident and their family to see if they want to come back for follow-up at 3 months and at 6 months, depending on their ACL. So if their ACL is in the 4 range or below, again, we would follow up with them at 3 months. If they're in the 5 range, we would follow up at 6 months. And of course, the family and the resident can refuse to participate in this at this point in time. They don't have to come back in for their update, but we do want to offer it regardless. And even if the family during the time of the care plan meeting is telling you, hey, we're not interested in this program, we're still going to send them home with the material and all the things that are going to help them maintain the independence. You may find that once, even if they didn't think they were going to be interested, within 3 months to 6 months, they may have changed their mind. And we want to give them that opportunity to change their mind by still following up and seeing how they're doing and offering this. Of course, they're always welcome to refuse to come back in, but we're still going to offer this as an option for the residents once they discharge from us. Now, if the resident is a memory lane resident, Lindsay talked about the memory care programming recommendations that was copied on the green paper for Dorothy, but we do have other versions of this based on our ACL. Primarily, you're going to be using your green, yellow, and red for our memory lane residents, but every once in a blue moon, you'll find a resident on memory lane who falls in the 5 range, and we do have a smaller version of this memory care programming recommendations observation that's purple for residents on level 5. And as Lindsay mentioned, it is really crucial for our directors of memory care to know what your specific recommendations for interacting with that resident are going to be, because it is very different between a 4.0 and a 4.8. And this piece of paper is what our director of memory care uses to write a care plan for the resident. And it's what he or she uses to educate the staff that works on memory lane on the best activities and the best things that we can do with that resident to help stimulate their brain and help exercise their cognitive functioning. So paying close attention to this and making sure that you're filling it out to the best of your ability based off of your observations during the Allen cognitive activities will help us to keep ongoing stimulation going with that resident and obviously help them to maintain independence for as long as possible. Again, our residents' ACL levels are all broken down into this color-coded system. We've got 5 for purple is purple, 4 is green, 3 is yellow, 2 is red, and 1 is blue. Once you'll find that you've got a stack of these in the binder, the ACL binder that we referred to earlier. If for some reason you run out of color-coded versions, your director of memory care can help you get new versions of this. But these are also added into Matrix so that we can access this information, and this is made available to the staff. Your specific color-coded version of this assessment is made available to the staff. The directors of memory care generally will put this in the activity charting book so that the staff is seeing these recommendations on a daily basis when they're doing their charting for the resident. And this is going to help them not only remember the recommendations that you're making from a therapy perspective, but this color-coded system also helps them to learn the resident's ACL level quicker and by giving and assigning them a color. And that will help them as they're thinking about the different interaction techniques. Generally speaking, in an ideal world, we would be able to say, okay, when you've got a resident who is a green level resident, the staff would then know a basic set of instructions and care techniques that they can provide for fall management, pain management, and ADL management above and beyond all these things with activities. So this color-coded system is very important for the overall functioning of our programming and to help our staff to do the best at meeting the resident exactly where they're at so that we can help them maintain as much independence and be able to do as much as they can for themselves on a routine basis. So our sensibilities programming, we also use a color-coded system, although there's not a specific recommendation form because that basically falls within that sensory input by Allen cognitive level that we were looking at earlier with the sensibilities program. Um, this is also kind of like a quick reference table that the activity directors can use if we've got a resident who's on hospice so that they can get an estimate score rather than just not having any basis for the level of stimuli that we provide. We would at least want an estimate based off of looking at that resident if the resident's on hospice and not able to have a full Allen cognitive assessment completed. We can use this table. And then again, our activity director uses this color-coded system so that her staff or his or her staff also can easily identify which level the residents within the sensibilities program are, which would then determine whether or not we need to make sure that we're doing the one-on-one protocols with that resident or if they're just part of the group programming. So they also color code their activity information sheet, which is a form that we use out on the main floor for all of our activity aids. Those residents that are not in sensibilities, even if they might have an Allen cognitive level that we're familiar with, we don't color code residents out on the main floor unless they're part of sensibilities. But we would use red and blue so that we can make sure our staff knows that, hey, these residents are part of the sensibilities program and above and beyond the normal programming that we offer, we need to make sure that they're incorporated into the sensibilities programming. So there are some reasons why the Allen cognitive level may not be able to be completed, which is why we have some of those quick reference tools available. And I will let Lindsay talk about how we would address that for those residents.
Well, so if or when a resident is on hospice and cannot be picked up on Part B, um, resident is on managed care insurance and services are not available, or we're unable to get pre-authorization. We might not be able to get an ACL at the current time, but we want to make sure that the next time that the resident is on therapy, perhaps they have a qualifying stay and then become Medicare Part A, then we would definitely want to make sure that we got that Allen cognitive level at that time. But again, always using all of the tools and resources that we have. That RTI can give you a quick screen, though not the most dependable. We can use the chart that Jenny just talked about just a few slides ago. But we do want to do the best that we can to get that appropriate Allen cognitive for our programming for all of our whole continuum on our campus.